guys, it's Kelly here, and I am doing a video for Create a Smile. I'm going to be using Jungle Favor and A Time for Thanks, and then I even threw in some Botanical Love and Bad Day on my sentiment. I'm going to start, I'm building a scene with a little cockatoo from Jungle Fever, and you're going to have to forgive my setup here. I was not at home, and I was shooting this video on my cell phone. So, and there's lots of overhead lighting, as you can tell from the shadows. But anyway, so I stamped out what I needed, cut some masks. I used Tombow Mono multi-glue to hold my mask down because I just used copy paper. And then these lily masks I had from another project, and I just store them right with my stamps. I stick them right on top of where the stamp goes, and then I just keep them until I can't use them anymore. So I'm just trying to figure out what my placement's going to be here. I love combining new and older sets, and you can get like a completely different look. So when I saw these leaves from Time to Say Thanks, I was like, these would be so good in like a little jungle scene. So that's the game plan here. And I didn't mask my leaves in this portion just because the bottom of the bird's feet are so heavily outlined in black that I didn't really think that it was necessary. And if you mask the leaf and then stamp the bird, you're going to have to draw it back in his feet because he have to be sitting on something, or you have to stamp the bird first and then stamp the leaf behind him. This worked fine just because it has such a thick black outline. So I'm just putting my mask in place and figure out where I'm going to put my first flower. And I just kind of had fun with it and built up my scene from the right side in. And these flowers don't have stems, so you'll see me later on go back in and draw in what I need to for my scene to make sense. So I'm just going to go ahead and time-lapse this bad boy so you don't have to watch me stamp every leaf, flower, everything else. And I'll do the same thing with my coloring when it comes time. I did one leaf in regular time and one flower. And of course the bird, because, you know, he's the whole reason we're doing this. And yeah, so just a really fun look, and it combines a lot of newer and older stuff, and just really a good way to stretch your stamps. I mean, get more bang for your buck. That's what we're all about, right? I thought the bottom left corner needed a little bit of filling, and I had to take the mask from up there because that other flower mask, the little right-hand side where that little leaf comes down and turns, or petal comes down and turns, fell off on my other one, you know, because it's old. So it's all right. One still got it. That's all I needed. I'll just go ahead and remove all my masks, and then here's where we're starting. We're going to go ahead and start the Copic coloring. Oh, sorry. Nope. We're going to do the outline first. I'm a liar. So I just wanted to connect the stems here, and then there was one up in the upper right-hand corner. I drew that stem back in as well. So cockatoos are generally white and yellow, so I wanted to put in just a little bit of gray shading for his white body, and I don't know what happened here. I got crazy with my shading, and I thought that I was going to make layers of feathers or something. I got in over my head. But it's okay, because you can fix it. Thank God Almighty. You know, most mediums are pretty forgiving in Copic because of the color of splendor definitely is. So I start with my lightest color, then move to my medium, and then to my darkest. And for this, I chose to use the C's, which is the cool grays. This just happens to be my preferred gray. I don't use warm on a lot. So here I am, I'm doing some shading, little flicks of color, or want to accentuate those feathers, and then I do it, and then I'm like, what in God's green earth did you just do to this thing? Well, this looks weird. It just looks weird, Kelly. So like I said, thankfully it's a very forgiving, so even though I've gone in here and I've done all this, because, you know, you don't want to go back and remask everything. I mean, you'd have to literally start all over again. And I don't like the way that looks. So I went and got my colorless blender, and you'll see me, I think I'm trying to figure out whether or not the yellow will save it. Because sometimes you do something and you're like, oh, wait a minute, this doesn't even look right. And then the more color that you put on it, it can detract away from those things, and then it's okay. This was not okay. It wasn't okay. Until I got out the colorless blender and then really just took those lines out. I don't know if you can even hear my son. He's yelling, "Mom, mom, mom, mom." Did you ever see that skit from Family Guy? Which I totally don't even like that show, but they do the commercial all the time, and the little Stu, I think his name is Stewie, standing next to the bed, and he's like, "Mom, mom, mom, mama, mommy, mommy, mama." This is my life. This is what I have, ladies. Oh my God. But anyway, so we fixed it with the colorless blender. It took away a lot of those lines, and then their beak, which normally you think the beak of a bird is, orangish or whatever. Theirs is black, 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 black. So I'm using the same C's, and I just added in a little bit of C9 to go ahead and fill that in. And then from there, I will go ahead and move on to the leaves once I'm happy with the way that the bird looks. I just felt like there wasn't enough shading up top by his head. So plus, I'm still trying to work out those little lines I decided to put in when I didn't know what the heck I was doing. So we're moving on to the leaves now, and this is my favorite green combination. It's YG01, YG03, YG, what's the next one? I think probably 17. And then for my, the ones that, because the way Christine drew this leaf is so that all these leaves fall behind each other, which is beautiful, and it gives you an opportunity to get lots of dimension. So my very darkest color, which is YG67, I put only on the back 2 leaves, and I put a lot more on the furthest away than I did on the middle level one. So here I'm adding a little bit of YG67 to both of them, and I went further out with the one in the back. And, really utilizing your colors and putting your darkest items in the back, your lightest items in the front, will help you achieve more dimension with all of your coloring. And it's something that's just such a little trick, where like when I do my top leaf, I flick it and I leave the center really light, but the one that's all the way in the back, I cover completely with my lightest color. And just, little tricks that you can use to get more dimension. For these flowers, I decided just to go out from the center. It would be darkest in the center, and they're such a small image that it's not, for me, I felt like it would be too busy to color them how I normally do. Normally I color them from the outside to the middle, and then from the middle to the middle of the petal, and then the outside to the middle of the petal. And it gives a more rounded look. These were just not large enough to do that with. And the way Christine drew them already gives them a look of roundness. So I just went from my shading from the center out, and I felt like that was good enough, and I still got good dimension on it. The only thing with these particular pinks is sometimes they can really wash each other out. Like when you put the lightest color on, it can really wash out some of the other levels. So when I'm done, I will go in and just with the darkest color marker and add that back in, a little bit of dark back in. So like I said earlier, I'm not going to bore you with coloring every single leaf and every single flower. For the flowers, I picked out some violets that I also used, and that was V01, V12, V04, and V09. And then I did yellows. I used the same yellows that I did for the cockatoo's head. I just added in a little bit of Y08 and Y26. So just for, some variation. It's a lot of green, and I wanted to use those flowers in different colors to just kind of break up my scene. So, like, here's me going back in and adding that dark, and I did that on every single one of the flowers just to make sure I got more dimension. And then for all of the centers, I used Y38, which is, it is a yellow, but it's more on the orangish side. more of a YR, but it says Y, so, you know, Copic must know what they're talking about, right? And, yeah, like I said, just going to go through and color this up, and then we'll time-lapse this bad boy. Here we are, tag team back again. And I wanted to add in a little bit of shadow, just so it didn't appear so flat. And I forgot to show you what markers I was using. I apologize. Like I said, I was out of my element. I wasn't at home when I was videotaping. So I'm using the C's again to add my shadows. And I started with C05. And then I went to C3, C05. I said 05. That's wrong. That's a lie. It's C5. And then I went to C3, and then my lightest one was C01. Now, I had originally made this, my intention was to use it for another project, and then I just loved it so much, I was like, I have to share this for my Create a Smile post, just because I love the way it came out. I know we're going into fall. I'm trying to sneak in one little last peek of summer. I'm going to keep trying to sneak them in. I can't help it. I'm sorry to see it go. But the original project I had used it for had, I wanted a blue in it. I wanted a lot of blue in it. So after doing my shadows, I'm going to go in and outline it. I used a B01, B00, and B000. Those are the three blues that I used, and so I'm just going through and outlining everything. Now, you could leave it like that with just your outline, and it'll be enough of a pop of color to set your image apart. And I have done this with just a simple blue outline on multiple projects. For this one, because it was more of a scene, I wanted it to feel more like a scene. So after I went in with my darkest color, I went to the B01 and then the B00. Now this is me filling in with the B00. And I'm just going to start flicking it out from the edges. And you do kind of have to work at it, I'm not going to lie. You kind of got to work the edge to get the look that you're looking for. But ultimately, at the end, I felt like it looked how I wanted, which was more like there was, you know, cloud behind him, and the blue sky was, you know, I guess, I don't even know how to say it. Like it was stretching out into the clouds, so it gave a more natural look. And I did have to work the edge several times. Copics can be a little harder to blend, especially on larger areas. But at the end of the day, I was happy with it. So that's pretty much the card. And thank you so much for joining me. If you're watching on YouTube, please hop over to the Create a Smile blog to see all of the products. So have a good day. Bye.